Hi, everyone. I'm Mitch, Juricich, and welcome to Hooked on the Niners.
What are you laughing about? I'm Mark Naismith, and we'll take a look at a very big win by a very good football team against the Detroit Lions.
And I'm Jerry Walker, and we're going to look ahead to next week's game in Minnesota.
And in the second segment, we will have an in-depth discussion about Alex Smith. All that, not a darn thing more, right here on Hooked on the Niners. That wasn't bad.
Hooked on the Niners is brought to you by
Bay 101 Casino, located at 1801 Bering Drive in San Jose. They can be reached at 408-451-8888 or on the web at bay101.com. Since 1994, Bay 101 Casino.
Badges Cafe. Badges Cafe is located in the heart of Mountain View at 2423 Old Middlefield Way. You can reach Badges Cafe at 650-967-7477 or on the web at www.badges.com. Go Niners! College Plaza Shell. College Plaza Shell, located at 1400 West Hillsdale Boulevard in San Mateo, providing automotive service since 1987. You can reach College Plaza Shell at 650-573-7959. That's 650-573-7959.
Psst. Hey, need some video work done? We can do that. We do all that video stuff. We can even put your video on that internet thingy. At Peninsula TV, we do full-blown in-studio production, talk shows, performances, speeches, anything. Remote multi-camera production, on location, at your event. And for the budget-minded, single camcorder production in high definition. We'll take your video project from first idea to finished product. For more info, contact Peninsula TV.
Welcome back to Hooked on the Niners. You know, with this being our fifth year, there were times that when that red light would go on, you just kind of like, what are we going to talk about for this segment, you know, the 6 or 8 minutes? But there is so much to talk about this team. I mean, first of all, clearly, I think they're the best team in the NFL. And I know it's only 2 games into it, but this 27-19 win over, as you said during the little break we took there, J-Dub, Detroit's a pretty good team. You know, they were a playoff team last year. What stood out about this game to you?
Well, what stood out more than anything is the comment that Bob Marks made about 3 years ago when we were, after the Niners got killed, and he announced on this show that Pittsburgh is really good.
Yeah, we were playing Pittsburgh that game.
And you know who else is really good?
Yeah.
This team.
The 49ers, yeah.
And I think the real tribute to that was at the Trent Dilfer doing his little analysis now of how you could play against this team, how you can try to come up with something to beat them on offense and defense. And 2 years ago, I think we knew how to beat this team, and that was to kind of roll the bus up.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Oh, wow.
What about you?
There were standouts all over the place.
Yeah.
The 3 Smith guys looked all looked pretty good.
Goodness gracious.
So, yeah, my highlights would be the 3 Smiths.
And I know that you're, you know, in the past we've always made fun of Mark because he's a Mr. Pass Rush, and we've got one now. And I know you're an offensive line guy, and you said last week that it's going to take a while for this offensive line to meld together. They have a new guy. Well, I think the new guy, Alex Boone, kind of arrived last night against a very, very good defensive front. Vander Bosch, Fairley, Sue, and Avery. Right. That's one of the best in the league, Dub.
It's a very good pass rush. And the Ohio State University.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, the offensive line still is not there. They still got some fixing to do, but they're getting better every week. Mm-hmm. And it takes a while for the offense to gel, and they're gelling already.
Yeah, they are, and they're really pushing people off the line. They're pounding these guys.
And what has made me happy and shut me right up is Anthony Davis. And, you know, he had some troubles as a rook, and everybody said, wait, be patient. He's very young, and he's turned into he's a very aggressive, maybe even mean guy.
Yeah.
He's turning into a first-rate NFL tackle.
You know, we should also mention here that not only are we hooked on the Niners, we're hooked on the Giants too. And you just said something there that, you know, being patient with Davis. Look at the Giants with Crawford and Belt, not to digress to baseball, but I guess my point is, those of us that sit home with the clicker, I want you good now. You know, I'm not waiting for you, sort of thing.
Oh, I'll tell you who I want good right now. The officials.
Yeah,
I want the officials good right now.
Man, I'm telling you, it's getting tough, J-Dub.
There's some tough calls again against the Niners, and I try to look at both sides.
Yeah,
there's some tough calls against the Niners, and they handled it. The Niners handled it.
Yeah, they did. They've overcome it in
right.
2 consecutive games. You know, it was a horrible game up in Green Bay, and I heard that the NFL actually sent word to Jim Harbaugh. He and there were a couple other coaches around the league to back off on these people a little bit.
From what I know, they actually sent a newsletter, not a newsletter, a statement letter out to every coach.
Oh, okay.
Every team saying, give you guys a break, back off a little bit.
Yeah.
You're not helping.
Yeah. One of the guys that we've been critical about on this show for the last few years is Michael Crabtree. Should we stop that?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Is that the official word?
I think
Stop
so.
it.
Yeah. Well, you know, he's certainly gotten with the program. Everybody mentioned yesterday that he's been healthy for the first time, which clearly shows. And he's got great hands, and he made some great catches yesterday. But he also really looks like he likes to mix it up, too, because he didn't get the ball and fall down. He ran over a bunch of people and was very instrumental in moving the ball for them.
He was a key. I think if we get into players of the game, he's my player of the game. Yeah. I know I talked about the Smith brothers, and they all, the Smith trio, and they all did well. Crabtree had a great game and key receptions.
Well, 3 of them in the fourth quarter, I think, for very
downs.
key first downs were just huge. And it wasn't get the ball and fall down. It was it wasn't like where he caught the ball was the first down. Right. It needed a little extra effort. If we're going to talk about key guys that really never get much credit, how about this guy, Bruce Miller, the blocking back? This guy is just steady.
They can knock people down.
Yeah.
And he's really instrumental in helping them have a much more balanced attack than they've ever had before. They continue to run the ball very well. And I'll tell you, Frank Gore just astounds me. His running style, that stop and start thing, his ability to set up the blocks and watch things happen. I mean, it's so. What a tutorial for young backs in the league.
Yeah.
He doesn't have that explosive Chris Johnson get through the whole speed, but what a great runner.
Yeah. And he does it so quietly. Yeah. And part of that might be the stop and start and stop and stop and start.
Yeah.
But you look at the stats after the game. Wow, what happened? Where did this come from?
And not to be a naysayer, but the one thing where I think he's past his prime for this is the 3rd and 1s and 4th and 1s where, Brandon Jacobs, because he does kind of dance in the hole a little bit, which is a little bit different on 1st and 2nd down than I think on 3rd and 4th. Yeah. And Brandon Jacobs hasn't been around. Is he hurt that badly?
Yeah, well, I don't know about that badly, but he's hurt enough to still be out. We got a couple players. The Niners have a couple players that are hurt enough to still be out. But right now, they're playing without him and doing well without him.
It's okay to use the preposition we. We use that all the time here, so forgive us. We're fans. Vernon Davis.
V. Davis had a great game and some very, very nice finishes to his touchdown. Kind of the fadeaway jumper, and then the little.
We can't dunk like he used to.
The little floater.
Naismith.
Yeah, Naismith brings up the basketball.
He said he couldn't elevate as well as he used to be able to.
I kind of like that jumper.
Yeah. Can you guys? Either one of you guys dunk over there?
No.
With a trampoline, maybe.
Well, we've got some 15-foot ladders here in the studio. I might be able to get up there. Not even with that. I can't even climb the ladder. How about David Akers? Is this guy the best kicker in the league? I think so.
Yeah.
Oh, without doubt.
You ever notice? Watch the television screen when he makes them. They're all right here. They're all right in the middle.
It doesn't matter where the wind's blowing from or where it's blowing to. Yeah. He's a player.
Some sad faces in Philly when they let him go. I mean, he was instrumental to them being a very good football team.
How about the 49ers game plans going in? It seems like what their game plan is what do you do well? Not this week, you're not.
Yeah.
They go into Green Bay where they pass the ball all over the field, and they really didn't do that. This game was Megatron, didn't get 100 yards. At one point, he caught a pass, was in the open, and he was looking behind him.
Yeah. Mega who?
Yeah, right, exactly.
He had a couple good catches, but he was not the Megatron that we all know. And the way as you state that, what do you do well? That's reminds me so much of the Bill Walsh era.
Yeah.
Bill Walsh and his coaching staff would figure out what players do well, what do they do, let's use them that way.
Yep.
And what does this team do well? Let's stop that.
Let's stop that. Absolutely. Okay. 5 seconds, because we got to go. What's with Randy Moss? Just a decoy?
Surprising.
I'm happy with that. I'm happy with it.
Yeah,
You can't have 10 catches, 6 catches every game.
Right.
1 catch and he's out there. That's fine with me.
Before we go to break, my player of the game for this play that happened right where, almost on the spot where he made 2 bad plays a year ago, Kyle Williams getting that onside kick.
Absolutely.
That was one of my choices was Kyle Williams for player of the game.
Absolutely. All right. When we come back, we're going to talk Alex Smith, my new hero, right here on Hooked on the Niners.
Brought to you in part by Woodmont Real Estate Services, a friend of the community since 1963. Woodmont Real Estate Services is located at 1050 Ralston Avenue in Belmont, California, and can be reached at 650-592-3960 or at www.wres.com. Vivace Ristorante. Vivace Ristorante is located in the heart of Belmont at 1910 Ralston Avenue. They can be reached at 650-637-0611. That's 650-637-0611. Or on the web at www.vivacerestaurant.com. Gando Design. For 25 years, Gando Design is located in Redwood City. Their website is gandodesign.com/specials. Gando Design, a proud sponsor of Hooked on the Niners. Peninsula TV is now live streamed on the internet. Watch us from anywhere you have an internet connection, on cable, on the net, and on that fancy mobile device. Just go to pentv.tv.
Welcome back to Hooked on the Niners. You made a great comment about Bruce Miller in college at, what was it?
Central Florida.
Central Florida.
And he was a defensive lineman, and, and he either led or was close to leading the nation in sacks. And he got drafted, and he's here, and they say, you're a fullback. And he's like, but I led the nation in sacks. They said, it's kind of interesting.
Good for you.
Good for you. Congratulations. Thanks for sharing that with us. So go get in the backfield and block for this guy.
Right.
He's a tough guy, and he can knock people down.
Absolutely.
Excellent pick.
Absolutely. All right, I'm going to let you start this off because I think aside from me, you're the biggest Alex Smith fan that I know of from day one.
From day one.
Day one.
Exactly. I'll tell you what Alex does that I really like.
What's that?
I don't know if you've noticed. I don't know if you've noticed. I don't know if anybody else has noticed but me. Every time out, every time the offense is going on the field,
he throws a hard pass to somebody.
Every time out and or when the offense, when they're huddled on the sidelines before they're going on the field, he has a football in his hand.
Yeah.
And he tosses that football as he's entering the playing area.
Yeah, I've seen that too, yeah.
I don't know if it's superstition. I don't know if I like the idea that he's standing there holding the football though, getting ready to get on the field. I like that. He's got to find out what that's all about.
He's like Mike Krukow during a Giants broadcast. Always has a baseball.
And he throws it hard to somebody. It's
not
he does. Like he does. It's like you're just 2 feet away.
And it's a non-player.
Easy.
We got to find out more about that.
Yeah.
Anyhow, the Alex Smith story comes here, 7 years, physically beaten up, mentally beaten up, thrown under the bus by a couple of coaching staffs, treated horribly, booed by the fans. We could go on and on and on. He has Camp Alex last year when there was no camp. This year they kind of toyed with Peyton Manning. Just all of this against him. And this guy in his last 21 games is 17-4.
Mm-hmm. Not bad, huh?
And 285 passes or around there without interception.
Without an interception. Last night, 20 of 31 for 226, 2 touchdowns. And what do these men have in common? Gore, Hunter, Miller, Manningham, Crabtree, Davis, and Walker. They all dropped a pass. He had 7 drops last night on reasonable catches. 7 drops. He could have been 27 of 31 for Lord knows how many yards. This guy has arrived. Yes or no?
Yes, he's arrived. And I don't want to say I told you so because I want to follow his lead. he's not rubbing it in at all.
No.
He's all about it's the receivers, it's the line, it's the coaching.
Wearing his Giants hat.
I love the kid.
Yeah, I do too. I think he's terrific. Now
you're not going to fire me for the show if I just throw a little.
No, go ahead.
I still want to see him throw the ball down the field more.
Well,
now, I know the circumstances have not dictated that
right.
so far, and they've played very controlled games, and they've dominated both games. But they're going to face somebody. They're going to have to throw the ball farther than 20 yards.
Yes.
I want to see it, but I'm not saying he can't.
Right.
But
I think the offense is dictating that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Exactly. And when they face that team that they got to throw it more than 20, he will.
And I will throw this one little thing, and this comes from an old mentor of mine, Sal Salina. You remember Sal from running the clock up there for many years, has called me. He likes Alex Smith except for one thing. He says, I don't think Alex goes to secondary and second and third receivers very often. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe it's because the first guy's open and that's where he goes. But
I would say that would be the one in the back of my mind too is where's the second, third, and fourth possible? I mean, you think about Joe Montana.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah,
First down.
Maybe you're open again. I'll come back to you again. All right. Brady, Manning, Rodgers, Breeze. There's the top 5 in the NFL. The next level, I've got Flacco, Ryan, Schaub, Rivers, Alex Smith. Is he in that next? Is he in the top 10 in the National Football League right now?
Definitely. I think yesterday he was number 1 quarterback rating.
I'm not there with him yet. He's evolving very nicely, and I think playing for Harbaugh, who was a quarterback, has given him great confidence and great mentoring. And the other thing is Harbaugh always stuck with him. He always stuck with him.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing I liked yesterday that I've just not seen in the past is they're letting him call audibles.
Yes.
Every play last year seemed to be the play's in your hands, you do what you were told to do. And he audibled a number of times, including the first touchdown pass to Davis, which is a very nice call and a great throw. So he's evolving rapidly as a quarterback, and I think he's moving in that discussion.
Yeah, he's in the top 10.
Okay.
Maybe higher.
I've heard that he's calling 2 plays in the huddle.
Yes.
With the first play being the play, and then if he hollers kill, they go to the second play.
Yeah, I think that's obvious. I think you could see that last night.
But I think there was one last night, and I can't remember I don't even remember how I got to the studio, where he killed the first play and killed the second play and went to something totally different. So, I mean, and then the other thing is, this is the first time in his life he's had the same offense coming into for a second year. Mm-hmm. I mean, and it's just with all the changes and everything that's happened to him and the way he played in the playoffs last year, especially against New Orleans. I mean, I think the guy's arrived, and I think he's in the top 10.
And he can still run.
Yes, he can.
Now, the one time he runs yesterday, he gets an unpenalty on him. And
now, why wasn't that a penalty?
Well, it was certainly one.
Now, if we said when we were sitting down before, if that had been Tom Brady, not only would there have been a penalty, they'd have thrown the guy out. Yeah. And, I don't know if he busted his nose or not. Did you see the blood?
He opened it, that's for sure. He cut it open.
Oh, yeah.
That's a penalty. That's a penalty in college. They're giving slack to some of the officials saying in college it's not a penalty or it's not a flag. That is a penalty, and it's not just a quarterback. Any player can slide, and if any player slides, you're not supposed to hit him.
You're not supposed to hit him at all. I think one of the things that the 49er hierarchy did this year was bringing in what he didn't have. A guy for short yardage, a little more speed on offense, and some wide receivers. So we don't know if all these years when he was struggling, if it was just a matter of not having talent around him. I guess my point is this just goes to prove you can't get Peyton Manning and put him with the football team from Penn TV and win. No, I mean, look around at these guys. My God, we don't have a chance.
This guy right here, no. You got to have talent around you.
Yeah.
But it's the quarter. He has improved. He has improved dramatically, and you can just see the self-esteem surfacing and the self-confidence. And it's a lot to do with. You said he was physically abused and mentally abused. Well, the mentally abused is what hurt, I think, more than anything else. And he's a player.
And I'm hearing guys on the team talk about him, as our leader, Alex this, and he kind of deflects the praise.
Yep.
I think you brought up a good point, though.
That's kind of a miracle.
Yeah. Well, it had to happen sooner or later.
Exactly.
I mean, 5 years on the air, what's going to happen?
Absolutely.
This might be your one. Try to keep it up.
I will.
Okay. But that is, it'll be interesting to see when they do take the training wheels off, let's say, so to speak. And I'm not saying he has got training wheels. That's a bad example, or a bad expression. Throwing it deeper and really starting to air it out. And maybe we'll see that when we play against teams of lesser ability. You know, the Vikings coming up, and we'll talk about them in the next segment, have little problems in the secondary. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see.
That's throwing it deeper, too. That has something to do with the offensive line, which I'm all behind. I think I'm a most big supporter of that offensive line. I think they're outstanding. But you got to give the quarterback more time if you're going to throw it deeper.
Absolutely.
And that pass rush, Detroit's pass rush,
was
pretty darn tough.
Pretty good. We got to scoot here. When we come back, we'll talk about the Minnesota Vikings. So to recap, top 10 as far as Alex in the NFL, and
Okay.
we'll have more when we come back right here on Hooked on the Niners.
At least he gave you credit for a good idea. I don't give you credit for a good idea.
We'll come up with one.
Hooked on the Niners is brought to you in part by Old County Custom Framing, located at 1339 Old County Road in Belmont. You can reach Old County Custom Framing at 650-596-2767. That's 650-596-2767. Go Niners! California Catering Company of San Mateo, proudly serving our community at 233 West 20th Avenue in San Mateo. California Catering can be reached at 650-345-4811, extension 1. The San Mateo Credit Union, serving San Mateo County for over 60 years. They can be reached at 650-363-1725. That's 650-363-1725. Or on the web at www.smcu.org. San Mateo Credit Union.
There are a million places you'd never consider texting. So why would you do it while driving? Leave risky driving to the professionals. Stop the texts, and together we can stop the wrecks.
Welcome back to Hooked on the Niners. Next week, the 49ers go into Minnesota to play the Vikings, and the week after that, they're going to play the Jets. Jerry, is this the week when they're going to stay out on the road and not come back to San Francisco?
I don't know. It's either this one or the New Orleans whatever game.
Okay.
Colts.
Thank you for digging so deep for that information. See, that's what keeps us on top
But
as a cutting edge.
They are going to do that. They're going to spend a week in the Midwest.
Okay, all right,
Back
good deal.
back in Ohio.
We just don't know when. But as soon as we get that information, we will give it to you after everyone else gives it to you. All right, let's talk a little bit about the NFC West. As we kind of scoured the newspaper before we came on to do the show, it's time to stop making fun of the NFC West. They have more wins than any other division.
Who told you that?
Okay, see. Okay, you had a good idea. Now you have one.
Wow.
You've had one.
Wow.
That's the smartest side of the table. Only because I don't have another guy here.
Not only more wins, Sunday's action. Those are pretty good wins.
Yeah.
The Cowboys got spanked.
Yeah.
Redskins, that's a big win. No matter what happened then, that's a big win.
RG3.
Yeah.
And then in New England, Arizona hanging on against a New England team that is just all of a sudden looking pretty ordinary, and a quarterback that I think is a little worried about the protection that he's got going for him there. All right, let's go to Minnesota. The Vikings inside the dome. In the old days, Jerry, when you were the PR director for the 49ers, you had many a home game or away game in Minnesota. Talk about the noise in that place.
That's a noisy place, and it's a tough place to play. What's really strange about that place is from the locker room to the field, you got to go downstairs. And as you're going downstairs, it gets noisier and noisier and noisier. And it's like, why do you put players in cleats downstairs? And even if they're not wearing cleats, why do you make them walk downstairs and then expose them to that noise? Yeah. Some of the 49ers' worst games in the golden era were in Minnesota.
We're in Minnesota, yeah. And somebody made a point that to prepare for a dome game, a lot of times at practice, they will play music, to kind of simulate the noise. But the Niners don't have to do that now because they are building a new stadium, and there's plenty of noise down there.
There you go. Plenty of noise.
So they don't have to worry about it.
When's the last time the Niners played in Minnesota?
I don't know.
The Brett Favre game.
I think of the Brett Favre touchdown with no time left. Game.
We had to change the name of the show to Welcome to I Don't Know.
Hooked on I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, right, exactly. Christian Ponder, young quarterback. I always liked him coming out of Florida State. I thought he was very accurate. I don't know about arm strength. But he seems to be doing pretty well there, and he's got a great weapon in Percy Harvin from Florida.
Speed guy. They're going to throw the ball down the field, and even with a formidable run defense, this will be the first game that they face an elite running back, right? So they're going to line up against Adrian Peterson, one of the best in the league, if not the. So it will test them because it should give them another dimension to deal with that they haven't. I'm not saying they won't, but it's. Peterson's tough.
Well, you can make a case for the fact that maybe the Detroit Lions, as we go back to that game now, played right into the 49ers' hands by trying to run the ball early and kind of sticking with the run game instead of doing what they did best, which is throwing and throwing long. I wonder if Minnesota is going to pound Adrian Peterson at us, and if they do, for how long? Because it has become apparent you just can't run on the 49ers. There's death, taxes, and you can't run on the 49ers.
There you go.
I don't know if they'll pound him, but he can go out, he can come in. He's a player. They'll be tested.
Yeah, and of course they've got a guy there that I think Jim Harbaugh's kind of fond of, and Toby Gerhart.
Absolutely.
And I haven't seen him very much. Has he played a lot this year?
He plays.
Okay. And of course,
that's a real impressive answer.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a real impressive.
Only 2 minutes of this crap left. Matt Khalil, number 1 pick on the offensive line, and we'll see. It'll be good to see how Smith,
Aldon Smith,
and Justin Smith do against him. Speaking of Aldon Smith, I know it's only been 2 games. Do you think he's an every down guy?
It's only been 2 games.
Yeah.
So I think we're still
against 2 really good teams.
2 really good teams. We're still going to find out. He seemed to have more pizzazz when he could come in situations.
Yeah.
But he's played 2 solid good games.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think the issue with him playing every down is he's playing against generally the other team's best lineman, their left tackle, right?
Right, exactly.
So, he's facing very, very good players and maybe getting handled a little more. And I think people are scheming for him because he's so good. So, so far, so good. He doesn't seem to be a liability in pass coverage yet.
His technique seems to be to rush right at the guy, as what I'm seeing. So, from whatever you can follow on television, kind of bull rushing instead of, speed rushing to the outside or some sort of spin moves to the inside. So it'll be interesting to see what he does there. And it'll be interesting to see what we do offensively. We had our number 1 and our number 2 picks, A.J. Jenkins and LaMichael James, inactive. That kind of, I don't know if that's a red flag or if they just game plan, and we're going with who, like you said about Bill Walsh, who fits this game plan, and that's what they do. All right, we have 30 seconds left. Give me a score or some sort of prediction.
Niners win.
Okay.
But it's not going to be easy. That's a solid team, even though their record and everything might not show it.
Okay.
27-14.
Okay.
Yeah, I like it around that area too. I think they've got 3 touchdowns there and a couple of field goals, and I think they can handle Minnesota.
All right. That's. I think that the win against the Lions was kind of a typical win, and I think we're going to see that sort of stuff. And I told you, if we win the first 2 games, look out. We'll see you next week right here on Hooked on the Niners. I'm telling you, these guys could run the table. They could. I know you don't like to hear that, but if I don't say it now and it happens, I'm going to